Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazine. A new show coming your way, Emily in Paris, would only be possible because of this man, Darren Star. Darren, I have to say, you seduced us in Beverly Hills, you seduced us in New York, now Paris. How much does a city lend itself to the essence of a show?
Well, for me, I think this city is just it is a great inspiration and a great backdrop. And I think to, especially with Beverly Hills 90210, even more so with Sex City, even more so with Emily in Paris, it creates this, just a great visual background. And I think it also um, influences the characters, what their lives are like, and in some ways what the show's about. And I think it also gives the viewer sort of this vicarious experience of being there and living there.
For many people, or especially those that live outside of France, there is a stereotype of Paris, of Parisians. How much did you enjoy playing with that perception as you placed your protagonist in the center of this?
Well, that to me was the fun of the show. And sort of like, uh, I think they're it's done with with certainly good humor, um, sort of playing with the American stereotypes, playing with the French stereotypes, and I think that culture clash is sort of what is a big theme of what this show's about, and also to say, well, hey, we're not all the same, and that's not a bad thing either. And how do we understand each other? How do we learn from each other? How do we grow by knowing each other?
If she were Emily in Berlin, for example, would it have a different context?
Yeah, I think it would. And I think the difference is that I've spent a lot of time in France and Paris since I was very young. So I have a better understanding, or at least a better familiarity with Paris. I don't know the tropes of the German people and the Berliners. I'm sure they're there, but I think I would have to spend a lot of time getting to know them. And I think she would run into a whole other set of challenges and cultural differences spending time in Germany.
One of the things which maybe a lot of people don't realize is in with many shows there's a writer's room that maybe exists in Los Angeles, and shows would film maybe in Toronto or Vancouver or wherever. But I understood that you actually wrote the shows in Paris. Was that to kind of get your fingerprints on the city?
I'd written a number of episodes before I went. I spent some time working with writers, actually, story-wise, before I went. But in the end, I did bring some writers with me to Paris, and we wrote a lot of the scripts there. I really wanted the writers I was working with to experience what it was like to be an American in Paris. I mean, it's like you can't guess that. You have to like I wanted the authenticity of everybody's experience, and I wanted those writers to to feel it and experience some of those moments for themselves. And they did have apartments, and they were thrown into the water, working and living in Paris, not speaking French themselves. And I think the texture of that experience sort of translates into the show.
I don't want to necessarily equate it to Sex in the City, but just for this question, I will. And that is, a lot of Sex in the City people made notice of the fashion, and there's a
Right.
lot of fashion in this too. But to me, Sex in the City was it took you through the nooks and crannies of New York City. We got to see all these, whether clubs or neighborhoods or whatever. So, how much of Paris did you know? How much did you have to be guided through to
I,
set your location?
I I knew Paris to a certain degree, but I think we had amazing location scouts that sort of like showed us a lot of the city. And my goal was to like, let's see as much as we possibly can. Who knows if there's going to be another season? And if there is, I know there's a lot more to see and explore. So I think I definitely, it's Emily in Paris. So Paris is a character in the show, and I want to, um, you know, uh, keep exploring the city, and it's fun for me to do that too.
I don't want to give too much away, but there's a great sequence you do where you're shooting a model and she's walking across a bridge and all these men are looking at her, and it's an ad campaign. How, if you, I don't know if you could have done that in New York City, could you? Or,
I'm amazed we got away with it in Paris, but we did it in August. That was the secret.
well, Darren, congratulations. The show is terrific. It's called Emily
So
in
much,
Paris,
Scott.
and this is Scott Orwell. Until next time.
Good talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.